There comes a time in every person's journey when life feels unfair, when things fall apart without warning, and when pain seems to have no explanation. In those moments, the easiest thing to do is to find someone to blame, to look at the world, the people, or even God, and say, "This is your fault." It feels comforting to place the weight of our disappointment on someone else's shoulders. But the truth is that weight never leaves us when we do. It stays hidden beneath our words and emotions, waiting for the next storm to rise. Growth begins when you stop blaming others and start understanding yourself. Because blaming might give temporary relief, but understanding gives permanent peace. You see, life will always give you teachers dressed as friends, enemies, strangers, heartbreaks, and circumstances. Sometimes those teachers will arrive wrapped in kindness, and other times they will arrive in pain. But they all come with one purpose: to help you rise into who you are meant to be. The moment you blame someone for your pain, you hand them the power to control your story. You make them the author of your sadness, when in truth, you were always meant to be the author of your healing. You can't rewrite your life with someone else holding the pen. We all go through times when it feels like the world has turned its back on us. Maybe you trusted someone who betrayed you. Maybe you loved deeply, and that love wasn't returned. Maybe you gave your best and still lost. It's easy in those moments to say, "They did this to me," or, "If it weren't for them, I'd be happy." But here's the truth no one tells you. Life doesn't owe us fairness, it owes us growth. People don't always give us what we deserve. They give us what we need to learn. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every rejection, it isn't a punishment, it's preparation. It's shaping you into the kind of person who no longer breaks at the same place twice. When you stop blaming, you start becoming. You start seeing that everything that has happened was not to destroy you, but to refine you. That person who hurt you taught you the importance of boundaries. That failure taught you humility. That rejection taught you patience. That heartbreak taught you how to love yourself first. When you choose to understand instead of blame, life becomes your greatest teacher instead of your cruelest enemy. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when you realize you can't control everything that happens, but you can control what you become because of it. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control whether their behavior turns you bitter or better. You can't control the storms, but you can learn how to dance in the rain. You can't control what they did, but you can control how long you let it define you. That is where true strength lies, in refusing to let someone else's actions dictate your spirit. You see, people will disappoint you. They'll say things they don't mean, do things they can't undo, and sometimes they'll hurt you in ways you never saw coming. But blaming them won't heal you. It won't make the pain disappear. It won't give you back what you lost. The only thing blame does is keep you tied to the moment you're trying to escape. Forgiveness, however, sets you free. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgiveness isn't saying what they did was right. It's saying you won't let it control your peace any longer. The greatest power you will ever have is the power to choose your response. Life can take everything from you. Your job, your home, your plans, your people. But it can't take your response. You get to decide whether the situation will break you or build you. And the people who rise in life aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down blaming others for the fall. They look at the pieces on the floor and say, "Maybe it's time to rebuild differently this time." When you look back at your life, you'll notice something beautiful. The moments you thought were curses eventually led you to blessings. The people who walked away made space for the ones who truly cared. The jobs you lost pushed you toward purpose. The heartbreaks you cried over taught you self-worth. It's only in hindsight that you realize that life wasn't being cruel. It was being kind in disguise. But you can only see that when you stop blaming and start trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Blame keeps your eyes fixed on the past. Growth keeps your heart open to the future. You can't move forward while looking backward. You can't heal while pointing fingers. And you can't step into peace while holding on to resentment. The truth is, blaming others feels powerful at first, but it's really a form of surrender. You're surrendering your control, your joy, your growth to someone who may never even care. Why hand your happiness to the same hands that hurt you? When you stop blaming, you reclaim your energy. You stop wasting your days replaying the same story. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? You stop needing closure from others and start creating peace within yourself. You stop waiting for apologies and start giving yourself permission to move on. You stop defining yourself by what happened and start defining yourself by how you responded. That shift changes everything. Some people live their entire lives as victims of their past because they never learn to let go of blame. They keep reliving the same pain, retelling the same story, rehearsing the same hurt, until it becomes part of their identity. But you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. You are not defined by your scars, but by the courage it took to heal from them. Life will break you many times, but it will also give you countless chances to rebuild stronger. Don't waste those chances blaming others for the cracks. Thank them for showing you where you needed reinforcement. If you want peace, take responsibility. If you want growth, take ownership. If you want freedom, stop blaming. Responsibility doesn't mean everything was your fault. It means you have the power to change what comes next. It means you're no longer waiting for anyone to fix you, love you, or validate you. It means you've decided that no matter what they did, you are still in charge of your peace. That's where true maturity begins. Not when you control others, but when you control yourself. It's tempting to think, if they hadn't left, I'd be happy. But sometimes their absence is what makes room for your evolution. It's easy to say, if I hadn't failed, I'd be successful. But sometimes failure is the only thing that forces you to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Life doesn't make mistakes. It just makes teachers' lessons and redirections. You can either blame the storm for breaking your path, or thank it for showing you a new one. The moment you stop blaming, you begin healing. Healing doesn't happen when someone says sorry, or when life suddenly becomes perfect. Healing happens when you decide that your peace matters more than your pain. It happens when you realize that forgiveness is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the wisdom to understand that carrying anger doesn't protect you, it poisons you. Every time you blame, you relive the pain. Every time you forgive, you reclaim your life. Think about the people who hurt you the most. Maybe they lied, betrayed, or abandoned you. You could spend years blaming them, or you could thank life for showing you the truth about them early enough. Some losses are blessings in disguise. Some endings are just redirections towards something better. When you see life through that lens, you stop asking, why me? And start saying, thank you for the lesson. No one escapes pain. Not a single person. But some people transform it, and others transmit it. Those who keep blaming transmit their pain onto others. They hurt people because they are still hurting. But those who stop blaming and start understanding, they transform their pain into wisdom. They learn compassion. They become gentle with others because they know what it feels like to break. That is the beauty of self-awareness. It turns pain into purpose. You must learn to forgive even the people who never asked for forgiveness. Not for their sake, but for your own. You must learn to let go of the story that keeps you small, the one that begins with, If they hadn't done this, I'd be happy. You must rewrite that story with power. Even though they did this, I became stronger. That is how you take your power back. That is how you grow beyond the pain. The world won't always understand you. People won't always appreciate you. Some will misjudge your silence, your boundaries, or your strength. But don't let that make you bitter. Don't let the actions of others make you forget who you are. When you refuse to blame, you stay connected to your essence. You rise above the noise. You move through life with grace, not because it's easy, but because you know peace is worth protecting. There will be moments when you fall to your knees asking, "Why me?" And the only answer you'll get is silence. But even that silence carries wisdom. It's life saying, "Keep going." You'll understand soon. Sometimes the blessing is not in understanding immediately, but in trusting that the pain will eventually make sense. You don't need to blame anyone for where you are. You just need to trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be. The next time you feel tempted to blame someone, pause. Ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's boundaries. Maybe it's strength. Every pain has a purpose if you're willing to listen. Don't waste the lesson by pointing fingers. Use it to grow. When you stop blaming, you create space for gratitude. You begin to see how even the worst experiences shaped you. You begin to thank the people who left because they made room for the right ones. You begin to appreciate the challenges because they revealed your strength. Gratitude and blame cannot live in the same heart. You have to choose one. Choose gratitude. It will bring you peace every single time. The most peaceful souls aren't the ones who've had easy lives. They're the ones who learn to stop fighting what they can't control. They stopped blaming others for the rain and learned to build shelter within themselves. They know that life isn't about getting everything right. It's about getting better at finding peace when things go wrong. They've learned that growth is not about perfection. It's about awareness. Life will never stop testing you. There will always be people who misunderstand you, situations that frustrate you, and moments that test your patience. But every test is a chance to practice peace instead of blame. Every obstacle is a mirror reflecting your growth. The more you practice understanding, the less power external chaos has over your inner world. So, when life shakes you, breathe. When people hurt you, release. When circumstances break your heart, trust that it's making room for something better. And when you feel like blaming, remember, you are the creator of your experience. The story continues because you choose how to write it. You can't rewrite the past, but you can redefine what it means to you. Never blame anyone in your life. Good people give you happiness. Bad people give you experience. Worst people give you lessons. And best people give you memories. Every single one of them shapes your journey. So thank them all, silently, gracefully, and move forward lighter than before. Because the moment you stop blaming, you start becoming everything you were meant to be. Stop blaming others. Take responsibility for your own peace. That's where your real power begins. Because as long as you're blaming someone else for the way you feel, you're giving them ownership of your emotions, your energy, and your life. Every time you say, "They made me angry," "They ruined my day," or "They broke me," you're unconsciously handing over control of your inner world. The truth is, no one can truly take your peace unless you allow them to. People can act, speak, or behave however they choose, but it's your choice how you respond. The moment you stop blaming others, you start reclaiming that power. You start realizing that peace isn't found in controlling others. It's found in mastering yourself. When you take responsibility for your emotions, you start living intentionally. You stop reacting impulsively to every situation and start responding with awareness. You begin to notice that peace doesn't depend on how others treat you, but on how you treat yourself when others disappoint you. You understand that maturity is not about never getting hurt, but about not letting pain turn you bitter. Taking responsibility for your peace doesn't mean excusing others' behavior. It means refusing to let it define your state of mind. It means saying, I can't change what they did, but I can control how I carry it. That's emotional strength, not weakness. When you blame others, you stay stuck in a loop of victimhood. You replay the same stories, the same wounds, the same disappointments, hoping they'll somehow make sense. But all blame does is keep you trapped in the past, chained to the very moment you're trying to escape. Taking responsibility is what cuts those chains. It's the act of saying, this hurt me, but I choose to heal. It's acknowledging that peace is an inside job, one that no one else can complete for you. When you stop expecting others to fix your emotions, you begin to feel how powerful you really are. You stop chasing peace through people and start cultivating it within yourself. Life will test you, people will trigger you, and circumstances will shake you. But you will find that the more you take responsibility for your reactions, the less control the outside world has over you. You can stand in chaos and still be calm. You can face criticism and still remain confident. You can encounter rejection and still know your worth. That's the gift of responsibility. It builds resilience. It reminds you that no matter what happens around you, you are still the keeper of your inner world. You start understanding that real strength is calmness, not control, forgiveness, not retaliation, understanding, not judgment. Taking responsibility for your peace means setting boundaries when necessary, walking away when your energy feels threatened, and staying silent when words won't bring change. It's about knowing that your peace isn't negotiable. It's sacred. It's the foundation on which your clarity, joy, and purpose are built. The moment you stop blaming others, you stop giving them free rent in your mind. You stop replaying the story of how they wronged you and start rewriting the story of how you overcame. You start realizing that peace was never something you needed to find. It was something you needed to protect. Every person and pain in your life is a teacher in disguise. The universe doesn't send you random experiences. It sends you lessons wrapped in moments, people, and emotions. Some of those lessons arrive softly through love, kindness, and connection. Others come disguised as heartbreak, betrayal, or disappointment. But every single one carries wisdom if you're willing to look beyond the surface. The people who test your patience are teaching you self-control. The ones who leave you are teaching you self-reliance. The ones who misunderstand you are teaching you the importance of staying true to yourself. And the ones who hurt you are teaching you what healing really means. Pain is often the most honest teacher, because it doesn't flatter you, it awakens you. It shows you where you've given your power away, where you still need to grow, and what still needs to be released. When you start seeing your life through this lens, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start recognizing yourself as a student of growth. Every person becomes part of your soul's curriculum. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift changes everything. Suddenly, your pain becomes purposeful. Your heartbreak becomes a map pointing you toward self-worth. Your disappointments become redirections guiding you to something greater. You begin to understand that life isn't happening against you. It's happening for you. Even the most difficult people are placed in your path for a reason. Because without them, you wouldn't learn how to set boundaries, how to forgive, or how to stand alone. Sometimes the lesson is patience. Sometimes it's strength. Sometimes it's learning to let go of control and trust the timing of life. The lessons don't always arrive in pleasant packaging, but they always arrive right on time. The people who made you cry the hardest often teach you the deepest truths about yourself. They reveal your resilience. They help you discover your limits, your capacity to love, and your ability to recover. You might not see it when you're in the middle of the storm, but later, when the dust settles, you realize that pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to teach you. Every pain pushes you toward a version of yourself that is wiser, calmer, and stronger. You start to realize that without the pain, you wouldn't have developed the wisdom to appreciate peace. Without betrayal, you wouldn't have learned discernment. Without failure, you wouldn't have learned humility. Every tear you've shed has watered the ground of your becoming. Every struggle you've faced has shaped the strength behind your smile. The lessons are hidden in the chaos, but they're always there, waiting for you to notice them. When you accept that every person and pain is a teacher, you begin to move through life with less resistance and more gratitude. You stop taking things so personally, because you know that everyone is just playing their part in your evolution. You stop fighting what happens and start trusting that there's meaning behind it. You begin to honor your journey, even the messy parts, because you realize they were all necessary for you to grow into the person you were meant to become. Forgiveness frees you. Blame chains you to the past. When you hold on to blame, you stay emotionally tied to the very moment that hurt you. You replay it in your mind, you relive the anger, and you unknowingly allow that memory to drain your peace again and again. Forgiveness isn't saying what happened was right, and it doesn't mean the person who hurt you deserves your kindness. It means you deserve your freedom. It means you've chosen to no longer let the pain dictate your mood, your choices, or your peace of mind. Blame creates an invisible cage around your heart. You think you're protecting yourself by holding on, but you're really just locking yourself away from joy. Forgiveness is the key that opens that cage. It doesn't erase the past, but it releases its grip on your future. When you forgive, you reclaim your energy. You stop feeding the fire of resentment that only burns you. You stop carrying the weight of anger that was never meant to be yours forever. You begin to see that forgiveness is not a gift for them. It's a gift for yourself. It's a declaration that you refuse to be a prisoner of your past. You may still remember what happened, but you no longer suffer from it. You no longer allow it to define how you love, trust, or live. That's the quiet strength of forgiveness. It transforms pain into wisdom and replaces bitterness with peace. Blame is easy because it gives us someone to point at when things go wrong. It makes us feel momentarily powerful to say, "They ruined this," or "It's because of them." But that power is an illusion. It doesn't heal you. It keeps you stuck. It makes you dependent on their apology, their remorse, their understanding. Things you may never receive. And until you let go of that expectation, you'll keep waiting for someone else to set you free. Forgiveness is how you set yourself free without needing their permission. It's how you reclaim the part of yourself that pain tried to take. When you carry blame, it poisons everything beautiful that tries to grow in you. You become guarded, mistrustful, afraid to feel, afraid to give. You build walls instead of bridges. But when you forgive, those walls start to fall. You begin to feel light again. You open your heart to new possibilities, new people, new peace. Forgiveness softens you without weakening you. It shows you that strength is not about holding grudges, but about holding grace. It reminds you that healing doesn't come from getting even. It comes from letting go. There is nothing more liberating than realizing you can choose peace over pain at any time. The moment you forgive, you stop being defined by what happened and start being defined by how you rose above it. You realize that forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about refusing to let what happened keep stealing the joy that still belongs to you. You understand that the only way to truly move forward is to release the weight of blame and make space for peace. Growth begins the moment you choose understanding over resentment. When life hurts you, your first instinct is often to close your heart, to turn pain into anger, to protect yourself through bitterness. It feels easier to resent the people who caused your suffering than to try to understand what the experience came to teach you. But resentment is heavy. It keeps you rooted in the past, replaying the same scenes, feeling the same wounds. Understanding, on the other hand, opens the door to healing. It allows you to look at what happened with wisdom instead of rage. It helps you see that every pain, no matter how unfair, carries a message about who you are and what you need to learn. Growth starts when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin asking, "What can I learn from this?" When you choose understanding, you start to see people differently. You realize that many of those who hurt you did so from their own unhealed pain. You begin to understand that their actions were a reflection of their wounds, not your worth. This doesn't mean excusing their behavior. It means refusing to let it harden your heart. You start to notice that behind every harsh word lies insecurity. Behind every betrayal lies fear, and behind every silence lies confusion. Understanding doesn't erase the hurt, but it gives it meaning. It allows you to move forward without carrying resentment like a burden. It replaces bitterness with compassion, and compassion heals places within you that anger never could. Resentment might feel powerful for a while, but it robs you of peace. It consumes your thoughts, distorts your emotions, and keeps you tied to the very person or situation you want to forget. You think you're protecting yourself by staying angry, but you're really just keeping the wound open. Understanding is what finally closes it. It allows you to breathe again, to stop rehearsing the pain and start living beyond it. It's not about letting anyone off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook from carrying pain that was never meant to last forever. Growth happens when you choose to learn instead of hate, to reflect instead of react, to understand instead of blame. When you approach your pain with curiosity rather than resentment, you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. You realize how strong, patient, and compassionate you can be. You see that the pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to evolve you. Understanding turns pain into purpose, while resentment keeps you a prisoner of the past. The day you begin to understand rather than resent, you take your power back. You stop letting what happened define your future. You stop giving people control over your emotions. You stop poisoning your peace with bitterness. You start creating meaning out of your experiences instead of misery. You learn to see that every challenge was preparing you for a wiser, stronger version of yourself. And that realization is where true growth begins. ChatGPT said, "You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond." Life will never follow a straight line. It will twist, bend, and surprise you with both joy and heartbreak. Things will happen that you never expected. People will change, plans will fall apart, and moments will test you beyond your limits. But in every single situation, there is one constant: the power of your response, the difference between peace and chaos, between progress and pain, lies in what you choose to do when life doesn't go your way. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can't stop the storm, but you can decide not to let it drown your spirit. Your response is your strength, your peace, your freedom. When you realize that control is an illusion, you stop exhausting yourself trying to manage everything around you. You stop expecting people to behave a certain way. You stop getting lost in the need to have things go exactly as planned. Instead, you focus on mastering your emotions. You learn to stay calm when others lose their composure. You learn to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to think before responding. You begin to see that peace isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about inner balance. The world can be loud, unfair, and unpredictable, but your calm can remain unshaken when it comes from within. How you respond determines how long pain stays in your life. If you react with anger, you give pain more fuel. If you react with bitterness, you invite it to stay. But when you respond with patience, understanding, and self-control, you stop the cycle. You begin to notice that you don't have to fight every battle. Not every insult needs a reaction. Not every disappointment deserves your energy. Sometimes your greatest power is your silence. Sometimes your best response is peace, because peace is not weakness, it's discipline. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to control what's outside of me, as long as I'm in control of what's inside. When you take control of your response, you take control of your destiny. Every reaction shapes your future. Every word, every choice, every emotion you entertain creates a ripple. If you respond with fear, you stay trapped. If you respond with faith, you move forward. The world will always give you reasons to react, but you can choose to rise above them. You can choose to protect your energy, to guard your peace, to walk away when something threatens your balance. That's not avoidance. It's awareness. It's choosing not to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. The moment you stop trying to control life and start mastering your response to it, everything changes. You become untouchable in your calm, powerful in your patience, and unstoppable in your purpose. You realize that control was never about changing the world. It was about mastering yourself. You can't always choose what life gives you, but you can always choose how to meet it. ChatGPT said gratitude transforms every wound into wisdom. It's one of the most powerful shifts a person can ever experience. To look back at the pain that once broke you and say, thank you. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything was perfect or denying that it hurt. It means acknowledging that even in the pain there was purpose. It's realizing that life was not trying to destroy you. It was trying to awaken you. Gratitude allows you to stop seeing your struggles as punishments and start seeing them as preparations. It turns the moments that once made you cry into reminders of how far you've come. It helps you see that every scar tells a story of strength. Every loss cleared space for something better, and every ending was secretly the beginning of something greater. When you learn to be grateful for your wounds, you stop being defined by them. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of what happened and start recognizing yourself as a survivor of what tried to break you. Gratitude takes you out of the mindset of, why me? And moves you into, thank you for showing me what I needed to see. Because even the hardest moments carry lessons that can only be understood when you look at them through the lens of growth. Gratitude transforms bitterness into peace, resentment into acceptance, and pain into purpose. It teaches you that what once hurt you the most is now the very thing that shaped your strength. When you start practicing gratitude, even in the small things, your whole perception begins to shift. You stop waiting for big miracles to be thankful for. You begin to notice how much beauty already surrounds you. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of laughter, the kindness of strangers, the quiet moments of peace after chaos. You start to realize that life has been generous even in your darkest times. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring what went wrong. It means choosing to focus on what's still right. It means training your mind to find light even in the shadows. And once you begin to live that way, pain loses its power over you. Every person carries wounds, some visible, some buried deep within. But the difference between those who stay stuck and those who grow lies in gratitude. The ones who grow are the ones who look at their pain and say, this taught me something. They stop wishing it hadn't happened and start asking what it came to reveal. Maybe that heartbreak taught you self-worth. Maybe that failure humbled your ego. Maybe that loss deepened your empathy. Maybe that loneliness showed you how to be your own source of comfort. Gratitude helps you see that nothing was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single mistake, not a single disappointment. Every experience was shaping you, molding you, preparing you for the next chapter. When you live with gratitude, you start seeing people differently too. You stop holding grudges and start recognizing that even the people who hurt you had a role in your growth. They were mirrors, reflecting back lessons you needed to learn. Some taught you patience. Some taught you forgiveness. Some taught you when to let go. And some taught you what real love looks like by showing you everything it's not. Gratitude softens your heart toward them, because you begin to understand that without those lessons, you wouldn't have the wisdom you carry now. You can appreciate their place in your story without needing to invite them back into your life. That's the balance gratitude gives you. Clarity without bitterness. There's a quiet strength in those who live with gratitude. They are not easily shaken, not because they've had an easy life, but because they've learned to find meaning in every moment. They don't see obstacles as dead ends. They see them as detours to something better. They know that even if things didn't go their way, they went the way they were supposed to. Gratitude turns pain into perspective. It helps you see that maybe the things you prayed for didn't happen, because something greater was waiting to unfold. It helps you trust the timing of your life instead of resenting it. When you choose gratitude, you stop waiting for life to be perfect before you start appreciating it. You begin to understand that peace doesn't come from getting everything you want. It comes from wanting everything you have. You stop measuring your happiness by what's missing and start seeing how much is already there. The truth is, the more grateful you are, the more life gives you to be grateful for. Gratitude multiplies abundance. It opens your heart, your energy, and your vision. It takes your focus away from lack and places it on growth. That's when you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. That's when you start realizing that even pain is part of abundance, because it refines your strength, deepens your empathy, and sharpens your wisdom. There will always be moments in life that don't make sense right away. Times when you wonder why something had to happen the way it did. But gratitude allows you to make peace with not knowing. It allows you to trust that even when you can't see the reason, there is still one. It helps you hold faith that someday, when you look back, you'll see how perfectly everything fit together. Gratitude doesn't remove the pain. It removes the resistance. It teaches you to flow with life instead of fighting against it. It brings peace not because everything is perfect, but because you've learned to find purpose in everything, even the imperfect. The beauty of gratitude is that it turns reflection into revelation. When you look back through grateful eyes, the story changes. The heartbreak that once broke you becomes the reason you learned self-love. The person who left becomes the one who showed you your worth. The failure that once made you feel lost becomes the lesson that led you to success. You realize that everything you've been through was a step toward awakening. Gratitude makes you see that life was never against you. It was always building you. It's not about being thankful that you suffered. It's about being thankful that you grew. Gratitude is not a one-time feeling. It's a daily practice. It's something you choose even when it's hard. You choose it when you wake up tired, but still breathing. You choose it when plans fail but lessons appear. You choose it when people leave but peace stays. You choose it when you could complain, but instead you whisper, "Thank you." Because gratitude isn't about ignoring the pain. It's about refusing to let the pain define your vision. It's about reminding yourself that you've survived everything you once thought you couldn't. It's about realizing that life, no matter how imperfect, is still beautiful. As you continue to grow, gratitude becomes your compass. It guides you through uncertainty. It helps you stay grounded in storms. It reminds you that every challenge is temporary, but every lesson is eternal. It teaches you to let go of control and trust the process. When you live in gratitude, even loss feels softer because you understand that nothing truly leaves you. It all transforms. Every experience becomes part of your wisdom. Every heartbreak becomes part of your compassion. And every wound becomes part of your story. Gratitude doesn't erase the past, but it gives it meaning. It turns the chaos into clarity, the pain into purpose, and the journey into grace.